snap your fingers, do your dance. You can do it all by yourself.
Welcome back to Homebrew at the Movies. This is Taylor.
This is Phil.
And we are here to review Avengers Endgame.
Endgame.
Endgame. The game of ending.
Yeah. Game of Ends.
Does the
Season
game
9.
end?
Oh, it tries to. So here's how we're going to break this down. Normally we do a scene-by-scene talk about, and then we give a final review and ranking and all that good stuff. But today we are going to do more of a reacts to Avenger Endgame type style. So for the first few minutes, there will be no spoilers. Taylor, no spoilers. Then we will tell you whether or not we think you should go see the movie. And then we will go right into spoilers. The couple scenes we liked, a couple scenes we didn't, and then kind of give a better feel for how we liked the movie.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Cool. Let's jump right into it. So, I will open this with saying you should go see this movie.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. This was something that I saw and knew, like, I was talking to Taylor before we saw the movie. We saw this one together, so it was cute. And I told her that with what this movie is for just the MCU, like, in general, and what it's been building up to, and 11 years in the making, all that stuff, this would either be, like, a monument in, like, cinema, or flop and not able to make it. And this definitely, I think, held up as something that people will be talking about for a while.
Yeah, I think that we knew the answer to what it was as soon as, like, the box office numbers were rolling in, too. Because, like, I mean, obviously everyone's going to go see it.
Yeah.
But you could tell the hype was real just from the amount of people going and, like, everything I was hearing. Because I didn't see it a week till after it opened.
Yeah, so we saw this a week after opening day. Because we were really, really good about getting tickets to things early.
It was all sold out.
Yeah, we looked the day of,
crazy.
like, when it released, and the theaters around us were sold out, like,
all
instantly.
weekend. All weekend. It was crazy. We were not about to sit ourselves in non-recliner seats for 3 hours.
Of course. Our bougie ass is not going to happen.
Okay, so I come at this from the standpoint of not being, like, a hugely invested Marvel fan. I've seen quite a few of them, but I haven't seen a lot of the pivotal ones for Infinity War and Endgame.
Sure.
I have not seen Age of Ultron. I have not seen any of the Captain Americas. I know. I know a lot about it.
Yeah.
I just haven't experienced the cinematic aspect of it. But I loved this. I so thoroughly enjoyed it. I think this, like, for everything that it had to encompass, it did a really nice job of that.
Did you see Infinity War?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you did see, like,
No,
the one leading into this
that'd be
one.
a hard one to,
Yeah.
to not have seen. I understood less in Infinity War because of the movies I missed than I did this one.
Sure.
I haven't seen any of the new Spider-Mans either.
Oof.
I know. But I still love Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's
a big
great.
old cutie.
So I come at this from the exact opposite, which is for 11 years I've been religiously watching these movies. I've seen each one probably 3 or 4 times. I've loved them. I've told Taylor she has to watch more of them. Obviously, she listens to me.
Phil listens to me too, and I tell him to watch things.
What'd you say?
And listen to things. And do anything.
and watch music videos with Troy Sivan. See? I listen.
It was for a review. You didn't do it. Such a monster.
and honestly, everything that I've wanted to have payoff had payoff.
That's
and
cool.
it's funny because we're not talking about spoilers yet, but I'm afraid to get too positive or tell you too many emotions because I don't want that to ruin this if you haven't seen it yet. You know what I mean? It's just I only have a couple, and, like, I'm sorry, I have a couple iffy things to say, and it's not even bad things. It's just this was one of the rare times that I've had the hype for a movie live up to it. Because spoilers for Infinity War, which if you haven't done that yet, you need to back up a few steps. I saw Infinity War opening night at 2 a.m. and I was like, there's no way I'm going to let anybody else talk about this movie to me without me having seen it, because I didn't want to risk anything.
That's how a
you know
lot
what
of
I
people
mean?
are, yeah.
I
I am
was
now
there-
with a certain series, for sure.
Yeah, and I was there at 2 a.m, watched it, loved it, left the theater, and I was like, nobody died though. You know what I mean? And, like, I was talking to a couple of our friends because we saw it as a group, and I was like, I loved it. I can't believe they actually did the snap. but there's no way any of that's permanent. You know what I mean? And that was because I was a little more religious with like seeking stuff out. So like I knew there was another Spider-Man coming out. I knew there was another Black Panther down the road. I knew all that stuff. So like I saw that and I was like, sure, a couple people who like died outside the snap probably are dead, but I didn't feel that weight at the end because I had kind of looked past what the movies were telling me, if that makes sense.
Even then, you kind of knew that there was no sense of permanence. Because when I walked out of Infinity War, I was like, all right, that didn't emotionally impact me at all because, I mean, I am certain, even without knowing all of the sequels were happening.
Sure.
Even without knowing Marvel, like, hell is going to stop making these movies that are so profitable.
Right.
But I was like, there's no way. Like,
yeah.
There's no movie after this if you don't resolve
even
pretty
like,
much all of the
even like
stuff.
as a meta sense, I was like, they fought so hard to get Spider-Man into the MCU. There's no way he's done. You know what I mean? And my friend's like, you just saw so many people die. What do you mean? And I was like, there's no way that's staying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went into this movie. I had watched the first trailer where they revealed it was Avengers Endgame, and that was it. That was the only trailer I saw. And I saw one in front of, I think when we saw Captain Marvel, I think there was an Endgame trailer.
Yes.
And I think those are the only two. Mm-hmm. So I had seen a minute and a half of footage going into this, and I was just so blown away by what I had just seen. Like, it was a movie where I left and I was like, Taylor and I were walking down the ramp out of the movie theater, and she was like, your rankings right now, what are they? And I was like, I mean, number one of the Marvel movies we've talked about. But like, you can tell them. I was like speechless. I was like, I don't know how to talk about this movie.
You were like, you're having such a moment. It was so cute.
Well,
because you were like, I need you guys to get out of the screen. Because we all knew there was no post-credit scene. Phil knew there was no post-credit scene, but he was like, I need to experience this right
and that's
now.
because this is 11 years of my life coming to a quote-unquote end.
Totally.
And like, I mean, I think, if not opening day, it was opening weekend. My dad and I went to go see Iron Man. And like, we were watching, and I was like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. And then my dad's like, don't swear. And I was like, I didn't. So that's actually, whenever he and I go see a Marvel movie, we reference that day because there was, we were watching Iron Man. We got to the credits of it, and this guy, like 2 seats behind us, kept going, it's not over. It's not over, guys. It's not over. Every time somebody would stand up, he goes, it's not over, guys. So whenever we go see a Marvel movie, we go, it's not over.
That was me. I was that guy.
Yeah. I was that man. And I mean, everyone that came out, I was like, I need to be there. I need to see this one. And then when it comes on DVD, I Dad, you have to buy this for me. You know what I mean? And like, I fell out of it a little bit because then it was, well, it'll be on Netflix soon, I'll just see it then, that kind of thing. But like, it was, if I didn't get a chance to see it.
Specific ones you were like, I have to go to.
Yeah. If it was one I knew would be like a moment, I was like, I gotta be there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm sure Iron Man 3, you weren't like, oh, gotta go.
Iron Man 3, I fucking love.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. Maybe
it's a Shane Black movie in a Marvel universe. How am I not gonna love that?
Or I should say Thor: Dark World.
Thor: Dark World was.
Yeah, you're like, I'll wait for Netflix.
No, I saw that opening weekend and I was like, oh, fuck.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, because I
haven't even seen that movie, but
I saw Thor in theaters, and my dad and I were like, so these aren't all gonna be good.
I don't think I've seen any of the Thors.
Ragnarok's the good one.
I've seen Ragnarok. Yeah. I have seen Ragnarok. I forget because it's not like a Thor movie to me.
No, it's definitely
like a good movie.
Yeah, it's not a Thor movie. It's good. But yeah, I mean, this was such like a chapter of my life coming to a close, and it was the best way for me to describe this is it. I've told this to a couple of people, so I might have told this to you already, and then you're just gonna have to listen to it again. Like it's the first time. This was like reading a trade paperback coming to a close, where they're like, I'm just gonna do everything we want to do in this style. Yeah, you know what I mean. And it was, by the end, I was like, every what if I've had come out, or they were like, no, we'll do this instead, and it was better. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, because that doesn't happen for you very often.
No, it does not. Actually, on the way to the theater, we were talking to Eric. I was talking to Eric on the phone, and I was like, for the record, I've seen no trailers. This is my plot prediction, and I was real close. I'll tell you what I guessed.
Okay,
on the way
I'm
there.
curious.
Yeah. But that's for the spoiler section, and I was real close, and I was still loved what I saw. So I mean, I can't really get more into it until we get to the spoiler part, but this was, if you are someone who has been obsessing over these movies for 11 years, or if you've even had a passing interest, you need to go see this movie.
Absolutely. Overall, like, I didn't really have any expectations for it, just because I'm not that invested in them. Even so, the expectations were probably set a little bit higher, just because
it was
everyone
Endgame.
I asked, I was like, so what'd you think of the movie? Because, like, I work in customer service, so I have to talk about something.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, Endgame. I saw Endgame, and I was like, oh, what'd you think? And every single person I talked to was like, I loved it.
Yeah.
It was great. And I was like, all right, well, slowly, like, subconsciously, my expectations
you were like, well, this
were
is going to
higher.
be great.
It's got to be, like, at least, like, epic, you know? And it was. It totally was.
And, like, I've had a lot of movies where I was like, I was told this movie's great. You know what I mean? And then I saw it and I'm like, it was good.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't usually trust people's opinions on things.
just like the Marvel Universe, Moulin Rouge was built up to be like the best musical ever. Right? And then I saw it and I was like, it was good. But like, because people said it was like the best thing ever, I saw it and I was like, it wasn't, so it sucked.
How dare you? I love that movie.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I've watched it again since and I love it. But like, it was because it was hyped up so much that I watched it and I was like,
I'm quitting this.
Not,
I'm quitting Home Brew Gaming.
Okay, so let's move on to the spoiler section with just Phil. Yeah, so hype does kill movies, but this,
yeah, totally.
It lived up to it.
Go watch the movie, and then once you do, come back and listen to our spoiler-filled review.
Ooh.
Coming up now.
Ooh. So right off the rip, I fucking cried so many times in this movie.
So many times.
Granted, like I said, 11 years in the making, whatever. I was a mess the entire time. Like I said, we're not doing a scene by scene breakdown, so we're just going to talk about events as if you've seen the movie. If you haven't, sorry, but we're just gonna talk about stuff. We're not gonna do the build up plot wise, why it's happening. We're just gonna talk.
So I've seen all of the Iron Man movies. I don't remember a lot about them, but I've seen all of them.
Yeah.
I have not seen any of the Captain Americas. I was not attached to Tony Stark. I didn't really like Tony Stark.
Sure.
I was like, I don't know. I haven't seen any of his like growth in a lot of the Avengers movies.
Sure.
But I was like, okay, whatever. Steve is cool. I have friends who like talk about him.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I knew one of them was gonna die in this movie.
Yeah.
I knew it. Like one of the two main boys.
You have to, yeah.
I did not think I was gonna cry when Tony Stark bit it. I
was fucking obliterated that entire movie. So the second Natasha and Clint had that like race to see who would sacrifice themselves.
Yeah.
I'm a Hawkeye boy all the way through. For the record, like I've loved him since the first Thor movie. Just because as a kid, I was a senior. As a kid, I saw that and I was like, he uses a fucking bow and arrow. That's so cool, right? And then like in the Avengers, he was like keeping up with them using a bow and arrow, and I was like, that's dope. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of continued. And then in Age of Ultron, he was like a solid character. And then he was in Infinity War, and I was like, shit. And then he was coming back for Endgame, and I was like, hope he does good things. And he did.
There's a lot of like talk about him being like disposable kind of in the plot I've read. Like
for Endgame or the overarching?
In general, overarching Avengers stuff, especially in the most recent movies, he just hasn't been like super prominent or like.
See, my big thing when people say he gets this, again, you're probably talking to the wrong person if you want to discount Hawkeye, but like in Age of Ultron, they go. Spoilers for Age of Ultron. Taylor, spoilers for Age of Ultron.
Oh, gosh.
They go to like his like secret farm home that like reveals he has like a secret family. And like that's like we see a lot of points where like that's what Tony wants is he doesn't want to be an Avenger anymore. He wants to have that life settled down. We start seeing that stuff get hinted at through the later movies. So I think a lot of stuff that felt like it wasn't important was made more important than people thought it was. And yeah, he has always been kind of like a side character, but I do think he was always one of my favorites. And when he and Natasha were racing to like sacrifice themselves, I was already like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Because like that scene was building up, and I was like, poof.
Yeah.
Here we go.
The family aspect of Tony, though, like Robert Downey Jr. killed it.
Mm-hmm.
He killed it. That growth I saw even in just Endgame was spectacular.
Yeah.
That was like my favorite writing of the whole movie. Was just seeing Tony in space, seeing him come back, and like him and Steve having that moment, and then him breaking down and just rage and anger and being like, I'm over this, I'm done. Having a family, growing from that, and then sacrificing everything for them. Then, oh my God, Pepper. And it's just like everything's okay, we did it, like we're all right.
You can rest now.
Oh my God, killer.
Yeah.
Killer performances.
So because I'm going to gush a lot about this, I want to kind of take a step to talk about some things I wasn't crazy about.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Honestly, after 15, 20 minutes in, all my complaints were gone. But my biggest one was Captain Marvel showing up right away to bring Tony back down to Earth. Mm-hmm. I felt like that was such a, okay, we got to get him back to Earth, let's just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I definitely felt that, but I also understood, like, I kind of liked that they did that. I kind of liked that they didn't just have him rotting in space for a while throughout, like, half of the movie or something.
See, my thing was, like, if in the recording to Pepper, he was like, we have to keep choosing whether we want the beacon to stay on or oxygen, like that kind of thing. If they put any reason why someone would know where he was, that'd be way different. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
At the end of Captain Marvel, one of the post-credit scenes, we saw like that scene where she shows up and she's like, "Where's Fury?" If they showed that again and they were like, "Hey, shit sucks. We need you to go find Tony Stark." You know what I mean? And then just any kind of line leading from point A to point B.
I gotcha.
It was just her showing up. I was like, so this is what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt that.
Yeah.
I just Captain Marvel in general, this movie didn't do it for me, unfortunately.
See, she was in it simultaneously too much and too little.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because she was in it too little to have needed to been forced in so fast. But then she was also in it too much where it threw off the power scaling at weird times. You know what I mean? And in moments where we could have let some of the other heroes we already have shine, I feel like she came in to kind of take moments away from people.
Yeah.
And I know that is also building up to pass the torch to the new Avengers. Like I get all that stuff. It's just there was moments that I thought were building up to other heroes that she kind of came in for. You know what I mean?
There were moments that could have been made for her to specifically solve.
Right.
And could have been written in better, but almost felt like she was like plugged in last minute.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, there could be stuff behind the scenes that made that happen. And it could be that, I just don't know how to watch movies anymore. But there was times where I was either like, why isn't she doing this? Or I was like, why is she doing this? You know what I mean? And that did kind of hurt it a little bit. And when we cut to San Francisco and it showed like all the like cars just left places and how like all the rundown buildings and stuff, and then it showed the storage area and it went to Lang's little like cut in his little like fencing area. I was thinking about like what the scavengers would be like in this like quote unquote post-apocalyptic world. You know what I mean? And I was thinking about like how cool it'd be to see some guy randomly hit a button that like shot Lang out. You know what I mean? And like as I was building up that plot in my head, a rat hit like a switch and then shot him out. So I was like, come on. But if I wasn't on that little tirade in my head, I probably would have been okay with that scene.
It was fine to me.
Yeah.
I kind of wish, because they showed glimpses of like the world with the cars strewn out everywhere. I kind of wish that they'd like shown more of that. Yeah. Like the world dealing with that aftermath. Because they only like mention it. She was like, the world leaders are in fragments. We don't know what we're doing. And then that was it. And then it shows like Tony speeding around in a sports car, driving around the corner. And it's like, how much did they clean up? At what point did they give up? At what point are they like still... Yeah. Like, show me I kind of wanted to see more of I'm hoping that slow, like just empty sadness. Sort of.
And that was the other thing that was weird, was this was 3 movies put together. Yeah. You know what I mean? There was the aftermath one, then there was the time heist, and then there was the final battle. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I loved 2/3 of those. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The first one wasn't really doing it for me.
Yep. I agree.
But like you said, if they showed more of it, would have been great. I did like the support group he had. I liked a lot. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. It was stuff where if they had showed more, I would have loved it. But then they showed enough to make us know it was there, but maybe want to see more. You know what I mean? Which is always a weird spot to be in, because you want more, but they don't have more to give you, so you start. You know what I mean?
I have a soapbox moment, but I'm not going to take it right now.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll count you in.
I'll put it in the description.
Yeah.
Or in the comments.
And it's was it? So my other thing was like when everybody comes back, that like is your money still there? Did the bank take back your house? You know, like, there's so many things I have like questions for.
Yeah.
I know will never be brought up again because there's no reason to. But like you come back a minute later for you, but like it was 5 years in the past. Like
there's a lot of consequences to
like,
this world that people are gonna have to deal with that we're not gonna know about.
Right.
And like maybe that's fine. I mean,
everybody's credit is fucked.
I don't need to know the gritty, like mundane details of how they deal with their foreclosures on homes. And
right. That's just where my mind went. I was like, there's so many people that are just surprise homeless. You
no, absolutely. I mean? I always think about stuff like that. I'm like, all right, but like.
Yeah, but what if?
But like your investments, where are those right now? Like the stock market? Must have just
you guys know Dow tanked, so.
Other than that, I can't think of any major critiques I had. I'm sure there were like flubs throughout the movie.
I had nitpick stuff, but yeah.
But yeah, like you said, most of mine was throughout the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. And honestly, that scene where we cut to Tony Stark coming out of his cabin to like go get his daughter for lunch. From that point onward, it was just a steady rise of me loving the movie. That was just the starting point of me getting lost in an amazing movie.
Tony Stark was my favorite part of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I would say that. I didn't think that was wasn't my thing, but I guess it is. So now I want to go rewatch the Iron Man movies.
All right. Well, our next series after Spider-Man, and then after Star Trek, then after so many other drugs.
Batman and
we'll do the Marvel Universe. But yeah, I mean it's just so good. The thing I mentioned before, I was talking to Eric on the way there, and I was like, I've seen no trailers. But what I think is going to happen is at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Michelle Pfeiffer drops a line that's like, also look out for any time tunnels or like time vortex or something like that, right? And I was like, that's a real specific line to just throw in, right? So I was talking to Eric, and I was like, pretty sure they're going to use the quantum realm, go through time, and take the stones either before Thanos gets them to like alter the future, or to make their own gauntlet and undo the snap. I was like, that's what I'm calling out for the plot. Granted, they took my idea and ran with it, I guess. But that was what I thought was going to happen, and
I almost would have rather they'd made a gauntlet. I guess it would have been smarter, really, if they'd made a gauntlet themselves.
They did make a gauntlet. That was the Iron Man thing. Remember, because Hulk.
Oh,
snaps.
Yeah, you're right. It was just Thanos found out about their time travel shenanigans,
yeah.
and then went after him.
I'll get into the implications of that later, because you know I got that.
Oh, I know.
So yes, like even though like I kind of saw a lot of it coming, I was like, that was a good movie. Mm-hmm. Like it was like the entire time heist sequence I was really into. I also really just love whenever Ant-Man is around the other heroes, because he's always so like. He's like someone who's a fan of these characters gets put in front of them. You know what I mean? Like when Thor is even given...
Paul Rudd is just great.
Yeah.
I love Paul Rudd. He really slaps the bass in this movie.
Slaps the bass.
Slapping the bass.
Thor is given like his half-ass explanation of Dark World, and Paul Rudd's even just like sitting there awestruck that like Thor is talking about it. Like I just love shit like that. Or the way he always calls Steve Rogers Captain America, even though everybody's calling him Cap now. He's like, sure thing, Captain America. I love that so much. It's just so... I just love his character.
Yeah. I haven't seen Ant-Man, but I definitely want to. I'm a big fan of Paul Rudd. Also, a great line was, Cap, that suit didn't do anything for your ass.
Captain, as far as I'm concerned, that's America's ass.
And then when Steve is fighting Steve later, he's like, that is America's ass.
Well, that was the other thing, too, I liked is like how much the characters understood what they used to be like. You know what I mean? Because Captain, when he's getting choked out, is like, Bucky's still alive. And then he's like, what? And then just elbows him. I just love shit like
he
that.
knows. He's like, my weakness is Bucky. I know it. I know it to be true.
because it was just so much of like what I wanted to see done with it, or like that I was okay that was done. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was just such a tight piece of narrative for dealing with time travel, which gets messy so fast, absolutely. But they did so good.
I feel it was enough. The time travel was. It wasn't my favorite thing, but I understand it's also what they needed to do to kind of incorporate everything they needed to with like background stuff, with closure with certain characters' past, like Thor and his mom and everything like that. I'm surprised we didn't get more Thor Loki stuff, considering Loki died. I'm pretty sure.
Well, he's spoiler. He's coming back for a Disney Plus show. Oh, so I think that's why he took off with the Space Stone, is probably to create that timeline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So just in a different timeline kind of thing. But yeah, that's the only thing is like the implications of this is that
they had their moments in Ragnarok and stuff. So I think they did good enough with that relationship. They didn't have to revisit it,
I guess. But just a moment after, I don't know. It was fine, but I would have liked maybe something. But the implications of this time travel thing is that, I mean, in other timelines they're all fine. So this timeline is the one where mourning people, and then.
Well, she said that like the flow of time was like held together by the stones and everything. So I think my big theory with it, I don't know if they'll ever explain it or like anything, but what I'm working with is like, I'm assuming because Thanos destroyed the stones with the stones, that made time travel kind of possible in the first place. Because then there weren't the stones there to keep like time together,
I guess.
Yeah, because the Ancient One talks about how like the stones are what keeps the flow of time together, kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So it's just kind of what I was working with, but again, it also could have just been we want to time travel.
I think probably,
which is they did it, and like honestly, with how messy time travel stuff can be, they did it very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They did enough trying to like cover their asses to like explanations here and there without it feeling like a heavy-handed explanation kind of thing.
Yeah.
Of being like, well, this will be fine because of this reason.
Yeah.
But they actually made it like.
And also mentioning that we'll see branches come off, not affect the main MCU timeline, kind of also really helps with that.
Mm-hmm. I think also, I was going to mention this earlier and then I went on a tangent about time travel, but I think that like they also gave enough sort of fan service, because I know there's a lot of these moments that people were like looking for as like Marvel fans in general, but without it being like
overt.
Yeah, like it was enough tied into it to feel natural without it being like, look, here you go, here's these characters, here's what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, Peggy and Steve at the end was a little bit less was a little more overt, I guess, but overall it was good.
I'll get there.
Yeah, I've seen a few things about that.
I saw this. So we saw this together Friday, and then Sunday actually saw it with my dad, stepmom, sister, and nephew. I knew what was coming, and it's still. I think I actually cried harder during like the second time I saw it than the first time, because like I was definitely tearing up the first time, but like I was a fucking waterfall the second time, and it was it's just the way they handled everything. Just it was good. You know what I mean? And like that's I hate to sound like a broken record, but like the reason I can't think of much else to say is like I've just been so satisfied by that movie. You know what I mean? And like Taylor was saying, I knew there was nothing after the credits. Everyone told me there was nothing after the credits, but like the reason I was like we gotta stay is that's just such
part of the experience.
That's part of the experience. That's been, like I said, that's been part of my life for 11 years. I'm not gonna not watch the credits.
Didn't you say it was like the old style Marvel logo happened at the end
so at the end of the credits we hear what I'm pretty sure is Iron Man making his first suit in the cave in Iron Man 1, and then it fades into, again, I'm pretty sure the original Marvel Studios logo, and that was such, to me, that was a beautiful bookend. If you guys weren't watching me, I probably would have started crying again. It was such a good bookend for everything we've done for these past 11 years. And like that, honestly, it's one of the best endings I've seen to a saga before, to season of television, to a series, anything. It's just the best ending I've seen.
Whatever criticisms I have to give him like major props for that, because I have it is so hard to end a huge franchise like that. Like, Game of Thrones finale is coming up. Last season, this is not living up to expectations.
Sure.
So few things do. This one, I think, really did.
Yeah.
For a lot of people.
As someone who's been thinking about, oh, I better do this and this.
They did.
It did, or did it better.
Yeah. Like, I gotta applaud it for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So phase 1 through 3, 1 through 4, what are we on? 3, sorry. Yeah. Phase 1 through 3 was called the Infinity Saga later. Is Kevin Feige, the, like, head guy of Marvel Studio stuff, was like, hey, this is called the Infinity Saga, this is what we're wrapping up after Far From Home. So like knowing that that's what this is supposed to bookend it's just phenom, dude.
Phenom, dude.
It's phenom, dude.
So who's coming after this cycle then?
The only thing we have confirmed right now is Spider-Man Far From Home.
Okay, but I know like Brie Larson is signed on for a bunch of movies.
That's the thing, is on a meta level, we know there's obviously more Black Panther movies. Brie Larson just started her contract. They teased more Guardians of the Galaxies. We know Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3 is coming back because James Gunn just came back. Like, there's a lot of stuff in the works.
So at least Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Guardians.
Doctor Strange is probably going to come back.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm sure we'll, yeah.
But,
so this is like the end, though, for Captain America, obviously.
Yeah, for our original run,
Original run, gotcha. They all have, like...
They all have a decent send-off.
I hope we get, like, Thor cameos or something.
Yeah,
we don't know what he's doing.
I really hope Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is called As Guardian of the Galaxies Volume 1. That's what I want real bad.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So I don't have a lot of left to say. I mean, Avengers Assemble was a line I've been waiting for 8 fucking years since the first Avengers movie, and it came up, and I was like, oh, that was where I started crying again.
Was that the first time it was said?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, really?
Yep. And it's just so, like I said, there was just so many moments I didn't even know that I was waiting for.
Oh my god.
He said that, and I was like, oh, he fucking said it. When the
Phil's
portal
cries harder.
Well, that was the thing, is that was right after the portal started opening. And Cap just stood up, and then we hear like the radio start flickering, and then we hear Sam say, on your left, and that's where they come out of. And like,
that was awesome. That was such a cool scene.
Just so much.
I loved the chase scene when they were throwing around the gauntlet with Spider-Man and everything.
Hi, I'm Peter Parker. Nice to meet you. Hi. Like, just all that shit, and then he falls, and he's like,
hi, Peter Parker.
Hi, Peter Parker. You got something for me?
I like Brie Larson a lot as Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm out of things to say. It's just such a good movie. It's, like I said, I saw it a second time, cried harder.
In theaters, absolutely.
You need to, yeah. I mean, I saw this in 3D with my family because we didn't have a showing that would work for everybody. And this is the first time I've seen this movie in 3D, and I was like, all right.
Is it all right?
Yeah, I mean, it's good.
Okay.
It's still a good movie either way, even if
I'm just pretty steadfast, unless I like have to, or like I do not want to see any movies in 3D.
Yeah, I was upset that we got the 3D showing, and I was like, this is good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're gonna go straight into what problems are in timelines right now, and then and then I'm gonna make Taylor listen to me conspiracy board about what's gonna happen in the Marvel timeline afterwards, or like the MCU afterwards. So the big problem is 2014 Thanos just got snapped away. Same with the entire Chitauri army. All those people. I don't know what happens with that timeline.
2014 Thanos. What movie is?
That's before Infinity War.
Okay.
So like he's still working on getting the stones and everything. So it's about Guardians of the Galaxy, timeline wise. So I mean that's a big thing that just happened. You know what I mean? Obviously Loki disappearing with the Space Stone. Oh, I was about to not even talk about this. How are you gonna let me do that? Okay, so Steve and Peggy.
Oh.
Hold on.
I thought this was going to be part of the timeline thing.
Hey, everybody. So, the ending...
This is getting real with Phil.
The ending of Captain America, the First Avenger, has what I consider to be the best ending.
The first Captain America?
The first Captain America movie.
Of course, I remember it well.
So, they're in the jet. There's a Tesseract on board.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Red Skull touches it, gets vaporized. And Cap has to take it into the ocean, right? He tells Peggy they're going to be okay, all that good stuff, and then they promise to have a coffee date when he gets back. He crashed into the ice. He never goes back at that point. He wakes up. There's a game playing on the radio, and he recognizes that it's a game that was like a year before he went in the ice. So he knows something's up. He breaks out. He jumps out into modern-day Times Square, right? Nick Fury pulls up, and he's like, you going to be okay? And then Captain America looks at the camera and says, I missed my date. Cut to fucking black. Roll credits. Best ending in the MCU.
Wow.
Up until now. It's amazing.
Okay.
Like, it's one that I'll talk about and still get chills, right? So to go back and have that life he's always kind of wanted play out for him is beautiful for me.
Okay.
And like,
yeah.
I know it's kind of like, oh, well, we had to have it, but like we had to have it.
No, it was great. I read something about how many issues that caused, though. I guess you could argue a different timeline and everything.
Well, here's... I haven't looked into whether or not the... Oh, sorry. Hold on 1 second, guys. We're done getting real with me. I'm just going to talk again.
Getting unreal with Phil.
Getting unreal with Phil. I haven't looked into like whether any directors or anything have like commented on the like actual implications of it or anything like that. But what I'm assuming, because the implication of it right now is that Captain America went back in time and then like never was Captain America and grew old. Mm-hmm. Which means like he was with Peggy where like he knew Bucky was being tortured by like Soviets and shit. Like, like I understand that that's like a lot of the implication, but what I've been assuming is he went back in time and lived while he was frozen in the ice. And then kind of like there was 2 captains. It's kind of my headcanon right now. I don't know whether or not it's going to be confirmed or denied later, but that's my headcanon because that keeps everything wrapped up where he had that life he wanted and the life he had to have for the
Avengers.
Avengers.
And Peggy just like went somewhere into hiding kind of thing, basically. Because he would tell her everything and then be like, we gotta go. Yeah. we can't interfere with stuff.
Yeah, and like honestly, that's...
I mean, yeah,
that's what I'd like to imagine. Like this entire time there's been 2 characters that know it, that whole thing. Whether or not that's the case, I don't know, but that's what I've been working with.
Yeah, and I get like also Steve is like, if I do something different here, then that could affect... Well, I don't know. Would it affect the future at all, necessarily?
Again, I don't know.
Well,
no, because
either way, he's like, I shouldn't mess with anything more than I am.
That's the thing, is it creates a different branch, not affecting the timeline.
Yeah.
That's the big takeaway from the time travel, is that it doesn't mess with the timeline, it just makes a branch.
Gotcha. Yeah, that fixes everything for him.
Yeah.
I mean,
so that's my opinion on what happens and how it fixes together with my head.
What was your timeline issue, though? You had another thing you were going to talk about?
I did. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, there's just a couple things that like don't matter in the long run, but
yeah, there's some gratuitous moments. The scene in the final battle when she's not alone, and then all of the women in the whole movie stood up together, and I was like, all right, that doesn't make any sense, but yeah, I'm your audience and I'm not happy. I know your target, but I don't understand.
I'm glad you said something because like I can't talk about that.
No, I think it was silly. Yeah. I was talking to I was talking to someone about it, and they were like, it would have been nice if it would have been like shots of the women interspersed like in battle and like doing different things or like helping each other, but not. We wouldn't have a whole like big stand-up section of women. I was like, okay, all right, I get what you're going for, but a little much.
Yeah, I mean, there was some stuff like that where it was a bit much, but overall, I don't think it takes away enough from it to like.
No, I mean, it definitely didn't. It was my like small eye roll in the moment. But other than that, I was like, woo, let's go.
So that's what we think. Go see the movie.
Go see the
Hands
movie.
down, go see
the damn movie.
Our current
It'll be in the
ranking
theaters for like 4 more months.
Yeah. Our current ranking of the Marvel movies is
Endgame.
And
Endgame.
then now our new rankings are number 1, Endgame.
Yeah. Is this your number 1? Because I know I asked you this before when you were like, I need to see it a second time. You've seen it a second time. I get it's hard because it's like it's a wrap up movie too.
So So here's the thing: is I usually like to think about, because like the first Avengers, even though it might not necessarily hold up as much today, I haven't seen it in a couple years. What it did for that genre, for the MCU, all that stuff was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Like everything building up to that specific circle shot in New York City where it pans around all of them, and it's like you have your Avengers on screen right now. Like that, the reason why that ranks so high for me is because it did it.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Infinity War ranks so high, one, because I enjoy the movie thoroughly, but he does a snap. Avengers lost. That's a thing they did, and they made it work, and it was great.
Yeah.
This ended it. This picked up a torch that fell and ran with it. You know what I mean? Like I said, my only criticisms are in the first like 20 minutes, and
it's fun that your top 3 are like the beginning.
Oh, those are my top 3.
Oh.
No.
I guess the big moments then, those are the biggest moments for the Avengers.
Well, as far as like the MCU in general, because that's the how are we going to do this? Oh, they did it moments. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Going into this, my top 3 was probably Homecoming, Infinity War, and then Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Man.
Does this surpass any of those for you?
Probably surpasses Winter Soldier. And I think with the other two, it would depend on the day. Because the reason I like Homecoming so much is they had to bring in Spider-Man to the MCU and make it work. And they fucking did. Like Homecoming is phenomenal.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
As someone who has wanted good Spider-Man movies, it's phenomenal. You know what I mean? If we ever talk about Spider-Verse, you're going to make me choose between that and Homecoming, aren't you?
Spider-Verse is my favorite Marvel movie.
It's a Sony movie, not a Marvel movie.
Is it not Marvel?
No, it's not MCU.
I don't understand any of it. It's fine.
Hi, welcome to my fucking hell for the last 10 years.
Spider-Verse is my favorite Sony movie.
That's fact. No, that's true.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You don't have to choose. And you also still need time probably to like.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let it sit.
See, here's the thing: is like, man, probably.
Yeah.
It's probably number 1.
If not, like it's top 3.
Right? If not, it's absolutely top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, it would change day to day because I mean that final 45 minutes is phenomenal. You know what I mean? And my nitpicks in the beginning, I probably have the same amount of nitpicks, if not more, for each other one. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's definitely a top tier movie in any sense. You know what I mean? So it's probably number 1. Yeah.
That's a damn good movie.
It was a damn good movie. You know what you're ready for?
I cried so much.
I cried so hard for so long.
I pretty much like the Tony moment. Tony dying onward. I was just crying the whole movie. I also started crying a little bit. I teared up when Ant-Man was reunited with his daughter.
Oh, with Cassie?
And I like don't know those characters at all.
Yeah.
Literally, because I haven't seen Ant-Man. I don't know them at all. And I was like, that was good acting. Yeah. Crying.
Yeah, I mean, there's the way Tony comes back just enough to go pep, and then dies. I mean, I also love that they didn't make every character have his moment with him. I love that it was the 3 most important to him in the MCU. Because it was Rhodey, Pepper, and Peter, who are those are his 3 like closely connected characters.
Yeah.
I love they weren't like, oh, then Black Panther's gonna come over and shake his hand. Like I love that they weren't like every character needs to say goodbye. I love that it was those 3 characters need to be
They knew what
there.
they were doing.
Yeah, I mean
they knew how it was gonna impact the fans.
That was just so perfect the way they didn't have too many characters there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was good. It was a good movie.
Yeah.
I dare say.
Yeah. It was. It wasn't perfect, but it was damn near close.
It was damn near close, yeah.
Yeah. And that's impressive as fuck. So.
Here's what the fuck we're going to do now. Here is where we are going with the MCU, okay? All right. All right. Fox Marvel merger happened, which means every Fox property is now part of MCU going forward. They can use them in their movies.
So, include examples.
Fantastic Four and X-Men. Right? Here's the thing. We no longer have Tony Stark. The world needs a new smart guy. Mark Ruffalo, probably not going to be around for many movies, maybe be a couple cameos. Know what we need? Reed Richards. Played by Patrick Wilson, hopefully.
Is that lead Fantastic Four
yes,
guy? Okay.
Yeah, that's Stretchy Boy, as we call him.
I hated that movie so much, Phil.
Good. because now they're going to be great because in the MCU, who knows how to make movies. And I mean, it's honestly, it's Marvel's first family is what they're always called, is the Fantastic Four. So we're going to try to get them in as soon as possible. Right. And plus they haven't had a good movie yet. Another series we're doing right now is we're watching the X-Men movies, reviewing them, ranking them, all that good stuff. And we're finally hitting points. As of recording this, our last episode was Origins, so enjoy that. But they were starting to get their footing. And First Class is going to be better. We've seen good movies coming. We haven't had a good Fantastic Four movie. We've had movies, but we haven't had a good Fantastic Four movie. Plus, we need a new supervillain. Dr. Doom and Galactus are going to come in with Fantastic Four.
True.
I mean, I assume that's where we're going next.
When did the Fox merger happen with Marvel? Recently,
it was
right?
talked about for a while, and it recently went through. I think December-ish.
Why would they make the Dark Phoenix movie before?
Because it was probably in production for a couple years, and then they had the rights to it still when it was being. Yeah. I'm assuming it's just a rights tie up,
they
and
probably
go to
knew
make
it was in the works, and I guess they didn't know for sure. I don't know.
Yeah, New Mutants was also pushed back months at a time for a while, and then reshoots and all that stuff. So
gotcha.
I think there's a quote from Maisie Williams where they're talking about, it and she's like, "Whenever the fuck that comes out." Like, I think there's a quote around there somewhere that she's just like, I don't know when it's coming out.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming Fantastic Four is coming next. And then I think when we settle down for a bit, we're going to get into X-Men.
More remakes.
So, do you want to know how we're going to bring in X-Men?
How we're going to bring in X-Men?
So, we talk about the snaps. The snap your fingers, do your dance.
You can do it all by yourself.
You can. And we see the one on Earth, and it shows over on the other planet where Thanos says that he did the same thing 2 days ago or whatever, and that's when he was destroying the stones, right? And then they mention how that let out a giant burst of gamma radiation.
Yeah.
The gamma radiation that mutated Bruce Banner into the Hulk. So I think that introduced a mutant gene into the world. And that we're going to see that stuff start coming.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nifty.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. It's going to be good.
So, in like the comics, where X-Men was Marvel, obviously. So, like, did the X-Men interact with like the Avengers?
Yeah, there's X-Men versus the Avengers, which is a sweet ass comic arc. I guess it's probably more close to an Elseworld because I don't know how canon a lot of it is.
I guess I've never seen anything with like the two together.
Well, the problem is it gets kind of messy because I know as a kid I was always like, why is Spider-Man cool, but people hate, Beast, like that kind of thing. But yeah, they are shared universe, and I assume we'll be able to tackle more like civil rights issues with them, hopefully. Just because if anybody can do that, well, it'll be Marvel.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm very excited for it.
It's pretty exciting. Next chapter of Marvel. I'll actually like keep up with it now.
Well, we'll watch all 22 of them, and then you'll be able to keep up with it. See, that's the other thing too, is this was culminating 22 movies, and it did it.
11 years, 22 movies, right?
And
it did it for you.
It did.
It did it for me too. It makes me want to go back and watch them, so.
I want to go back and watch
Here we go.
What are you doing tonight? Pop an Iron Man. Let's do this. This was Phil.
This is Taylor.
And if you liked this, like it. If you want to talk about it in the comments, leave a comment. If you want to subscribe to it, hit the subscribe button. And what should they do if they hit the subscribe button?
You gotta ring the bell!
Ring that bell for notifications. We have a series going on right now about X-Men. I was talking about it a little bit earlier. Reviewing and ranking each one. We go into a much more scene-by-scene analysis. We don't just ramble and then talk about things we liked. I'm sorry. We ramble, but it's more structured.
Yeah, structured rambling. We also have gaming with our two other compatriots, Morgan and Eric. We have gaming series up on our channel. So if you like those, if you like this, you'll like those even more, maybe.
Or not, but you should check them out anyways.
We have a Twitter as well. It is at Home Brew Gaming. I am at Later Tater, Taytater.
Ooh.
Ooh. And Phil is?
At The Real Philbo. Don't let the haters confuse you.
Don't let them haterate. On that Gatorade.
Or
We're not doing this again. in the future.
Who's to say?
Thank you for joining us. If you liked this, make sure to check out First Class, which will be releasing on
Saturday.
There's a little sneak peek for you.
I do that for an hour. It's great, probably.
This is Taylor.
This was Phil.
We'll see you next time.
Peace out.